Hey everybody, MacMan here with the ultimate guide to recording your own gameplay footage. Now if you're anything like me, you probably had no idea how to record gameplay when you first tried to start making a video or starting a new channel, so you turned to guides on the internet. And while some guides are helpful, others can be a bit confusing and vague. So today I'm going to show you the cheapest and most effective ways to record gameplay, get the best quality out of it, and hopefully be able to start making videos. This guide will be somewhat in-depth with a lot of tips from me, so I hope you'll enjoy this guide and get an idea about game recording. Now let's begin. Now when you're recording console gameplay, it takes more than just software to be able to get the footage. You're going to need an actual device to be able to record. Now there are a lot of different gameplay devices you can use, and they can range from pretty cheap to a few $100s. In my case, I use the Elgato Game Capture HD. And I use it for several reasons, one being it's pretty cheap, you can get it used for about $130, but the main reason I use this specific model and not the HD60 or HD60S is because of this AV in import. This is very important because if you want to record retro gameplay, you're going to need either a box to convert composite or component to HDMI, or if you have this, you can just plug in the cable that comes with the Elgato and you record your gameplay that way. However, there's one caveat with this, which I'll show you. Most of the used ones nowadays seem to not have this composite or component cable that came with it originally. Since they don't make this one anymore, you have to get it used in order to get it at a decent price. And because of that, the component cable is a little hard to come by. Now, what do you do if you're on a tight budget? Well, do what I did. I got a used one that came with a USB cable and HDMI cable. And then originally, I bought this AV cable, composite cable. Now this works, but it's not the perfect fix because it only works with composite cables. You cannot record components, so you have component cables with your GameCube or your Wii or your PS2 or any other console like that. You can't record through that way. You have to use composite cables. And these are pretty cheap, they're pretty easy to come by, you could just look them up. But if you want the full experience, you want those original cables, you're going to have to search around a little bit. And through several hours of searching, few hours of searching, I managed to come upon on eBay this is the original cables that came with the Elgato. These are very, very hard to come by. I'm frankly amazed that I managed to find them. I want to put this link along with the other two links in the description. You can get this, and if this runs out, get this. This is, oh, it works good enough. I still have this in case as a backup, and it's actually a pretty good idea to get a couple because these will fray over the years. But yeah, if you want to, for the best quality for your retro games, try and get this cable, and to record just games in general, you're going to want the original Elgato. You'll be able to record retro and HD games, 60 frames per second, no problem. Okay, now that you're a little more poor, you're ready to set up. So here we have the Game Capture HD. We have our HDMI out and USB connections, and our AV in and HDMI in. To start off, we're going to plug in our HDMI cable to the HDMI out, as well as the USB cable. This is what they look like when they're plugged in. I'm going to show you where they go and how they go into the Elgato. First, you're going to take the HDMI out, get an HDMI cable that comes with the Elgato, and try to put it in. Okay, maybe don't do it with one hand. It's way easier without the camera. Just do it that way. There we go. Much better. Alright. Now, you're going to take the other end of your HDMI cable and plug it into your TV like so. And that's how you get the video to actually show up on your TV. Because if you do it from the computer, you're going to get like around 2 seconds of input delay. While your USB cable plugs into your computer or your laptop, whichever you use for your software. With that out of the way, we can now move to the input. Here's the composite adapter I had talked about earlier. As you can see, it's got the 3 different colors for the audio and video. And here's the input connection. Now this only works for composite, as I had said before, so you're going to need composite cables for your console. These are the Wii composite cables, for instance. As you can see here, the yellow cable is for video. That is the only video connector. Meanwhile, the red and white are for the audio. Now, once you're ready, you plug them in, colors accordingly. So as I show here, just get them around the right color, put them in red, like so. Next, white on white, and then yellow to yellow. And look at that, we're all done. Alright, next we got the actual Elgato component cables. These have the same red and white audio, but then red, green, and blue video, which is a drastic improvement in quality if you ask me. And then there's the input to the Elgato, as we see with the old one too. And this is what it looks like in the Elgato. That's how you plug it in, right next to the AV in. And speaking of the AV in, well actually before I do that, here's the Wii component cables that I actually bought not that long ago, just for the purpose of this. As you can see, they match up with the same colors as the Elgato component adapter. And like with the composite adapter, you're going to line up the colors accordingly. So like before, white to white, and red to red with the audio. Notice this about the audio and video cables. The audio cables have their colors set in the middle, while the video cables have their colors set on the edge. This helps differentiate them and helps prevent a lot of confusion. Now, if you're recording a console that supports HDMI, this is a much simpler process. Just plug in the HDMI cable from your console to the HDMI in and the Elgato, and then plug it into your console. And look at that, you're ready to record. With your Elgato set up, you're finally ready to start recording games. And now here we have the Elgato game capture software. It's quite expensive, and I'll get into as many parts as I can. The most important part you're going to need to do is the settings, where you're going to configure depending on your console. So you can configure what kind of device it is, you can configure the input, whether you're using composite or component input, S-Video, HDMI, it doesn't matter. Color range, I usually just keep this at standard. Profile, you can go from mobile to standard to HD, 1080. Quick note about that. With the original Elgato Game Capture HD, you cannot record in 60 frames per second with 1080p. It only goes up to 720p. Let me repeat that. You can only record in 60 frames per second up to 720p. 1080p doesn't work. So if you're recording, say, Smash Brothers on your Switch, you can only record 720p 60 FPS. You cannot record 1080p 60 FPS. You need an HD 60 or an HD 60s for that. Quality, this just changes the quality of the recording. I usually just keep it at best. Cropping, I just keep it at none. It's not really useful. I would not click this because then it only works at 30 frames per second. I do not know why, but just keep it this way. Make sure you /stretch gender definition input. The rest of these you could pretty much keep the same, except for TV compatibility. If your TV doesn't get a signal after you hook up everything, you may need to change this just to get a signal out of your TV, and that way you can actually record. And then once you're done with all your settings, you hit OK. But since I'm already done, I just hit cancel because I did this already. And there's many different things you could do with this software. You can live stream, you can change the game audio. I don't have my thing turned on right now, so that doesn't do anything. You can also do live commentary, which I usually do my talking in post, so there's the sound capture, which I don't use, and you can also change the video title, the game, and the description. It's very important that you keep your games organized, because when you go to edit, there's different folders, and if your different games are in different folders, it's just going to get messed up, and you're going to have a rough time when it comes to actually using your footage. I'm going to show you just an example of recording. So I have my Wii set up. It's in the menu right now. I can click record and it automatically starts recording. If I had my live commentary on, I'd be recording my voice right now, but I'm not using this. I'm using Bandicam, and I'll be getting into that in a second as well. Once you're done recording, you just click stop recording. You go to edit, and I didn't change the game title on this, so this is in the Melee folder because I'm stupid, but so there's your gameplay, just play it, and boom, good quality and everything. and you can change this gameplay into an MP4 file. You can convert it to Movie Maker, share it on any of these apps like YouTube or Twitter or such. One last note about files. So after you recapture your footage, you can convert it to an MP4 file. I highly recommend you do not do this, and I'll tell you why. When I started recording gameplay, I had issues where the sound and the video would go out of sync, and I wondered why. So I looked it up on Google, and it turns out that's because when converting a file to an MP4 file, in a similar way to how YouTube ends up compressing its footage, it does that in a similar way. And as a result, you get slightly degraded quality as well as possible audio issues. So to go past that, I go into this EGC library. This is Elgato Game Capture Library, and this is where you can find the raw files of your footage, and you can play them that way. As you can see, when you put these into your video editing software like VideoPad, like I have here, take these files, the raw files, not an MP4. You will thank me later. For most of this guide, I've been teaching you how to capture game footage from an actual game console. But what about those who primarily game on PC and want to record their games there? Not to worry, there's plenty of options for recording games on PC, whether you use Steam, Origin, or any other game distribution platform. Not only do certain systems have screen capture software already built in, there are many downloadable applications designed to do this as well, and the one I use is Bandicam. Bandicam is great recording software that can be downloaded for free from the company's website, which I will link down below. This free version does have limitations, however, such as watermarking and a 10-minute recording limit. So if you want to get the most out of Bandicam, you'll have to buy a license on the website for around $40. Now, if you ask me, it's very much worth the price. In my personal experience, it's been effective, lagless, and creates high quality video with many different options, from frame rate to audio to resolution. However, everyone has differing opinions, so just use whatever works best for you. And that is going to be it, guys, for this gaming tutorial on how to record video games. I really hope you enjoyed it. It took way longer than it should have. This is the first time I've ever tried to actually edit for real a video, so it was quite fun, and then school got in the way, you know how that old song and dance. Anyway, I'm hoping to get the next video a little sooner than that. I'm not sure what it's going to be about yet, but I already have some footage saved up. Could be Smash related, could be Dead by Daylight related, I don't even know. We'll just have to see. But until then, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and thank you all for watching. See you soon.